piece we're going to perform at the festival is a passion oratorio written by Ernst Wilhelm Wolf, a composer you probably never heard of. And actually, I had never heard of him either until we were asked to perform this piece. So I did a little digging on him and found out that he was considered to be the most important church musician in the generation following Johann Sebastian Bach. He was quite prolific. He wrote over 35 symphonies, 25 keyboard concertos, 60 keyboard sonatas, and a great deal of church music. He was also very famous and was not only for his music, but as a writer, and was friends with Goethe, Wieland, and a lifelong friend of C.P. Bach. He was born in 1735, which is interesting because it's exactly 21 years after C.P. Bach was born, but 21 years before Mozart was born. So one senses in his music the very strong style or influence of C.P. Bach, this Empfindsamkeit style, but there's also a whiff of classicism, which one feels can serve as a preview for the shape of things to come with Western classical music. The Passion is quite different from the one that we know of Bach and his predecessors because it does not follow the gospel text. It's rather, Wolf has taken excerpts from it, which are sung by tenor and accompanied by strings. Some of them are secco recitatives. And he uses the arias and choruses, like Bach, to serve as a reflection on the passages that he's chosen. All the arias are quite beautiful, and they're all scored quite differently. The first one is for alto, strings, and continuo. Then there's a very sunny, light one for tenor, 2 flute strings, and continuo. A beautiful duet for soprano, alto, 2 oboes, strings, and continuo. And finally, a very powerful and dramatic aria written for the bass voice with 2 horns, strings, and continuo. Like Bach, Wolf has interspersed the Passion with several chorales, which are very simply harmonized, which made it very easy for the congregation to sing along with. The choruses, however, are quite different from the ones that we know in Bach's Passions. Primarily, they're much lighter in character, very optimistic, very sunny, and very little use of counterpoint. Wolf wrote this piece most likely in 1756, the same year that Mozart was born, in Jena, where he had just arrived to take over the duties as the director of the Collegium Musicum. And Jena at that time was a very important center of Enlightenment thought and thinking, and one definitely sensed that in this piece. The atmosphere, as I said, is quite upbeat, sunny, positive, and bright, and it contrasts greatly with the earlier passions of the Baroque, which are very brooding, somber, and quite serious. Generally, the preparation for a concert begins months before, because that's when I get the score and have a chance to slowly take it apart and learn it and figure out how I want the music to sound. Then, of course, shortly before the concert itself, we have the rehearsals with the choir, the soloists, and the orchestra, which I usually rehearse separately, actually, before we all come together, so we can work intensively on specific areas that we want to address. And then the day of the concert, my ritual is sort of the same. About an hour and a half before the concert itself, I go into my dressing room and do a lot of deep breathing and get into an almost meditative state to try to clear my mind out and prepare for the performance that's about to come. In a perfect world, I love to go to concerts, visit museums, go to the movies, read lots of books, go out to dinner with my friends, drink lots of good wine, and visit places I've never been to before. But in the real world, I'm generally so busy preparing for projects that I hardly have a chance to do those things. But when I do, they bring me great solace and help to enrich my life as well.